Hello and welcome back to the DayLuna Human Design Podcast with your hosts, Dana and Shayna. Today we are having a human design projector party, nerdy HD, I don't know, vibe
Deep
with
chat.
chat, group chat. I don't know. You know our guest. If you know anything about human design, you probably heard about her and you might have listened to her episode on our podcast from years ago. Today we have on Erin Claire Jones, and we just love her. We're all born in the same year, and we just vibe out on human design stuff, on motherhood, on being projectors, different things in our designs, the emotional waves. Yeah, we get into a lot of things. So this is just a fun episode. We love how she teaches human design. We really resonate with her book that she just wrote, and we can't wait for you to dive in with us.
Yeah, and just a little bit about Erin Claire Jones in case she is new to you. She is a leading expert in human design. Through her coaching, content, and digital products, she has empowered hundreds of thousands of people to overcome their biggest obstacles and find their flow at work, in love, and in life. Her personalized guides have been purchased by customers in over 160 countries. She has spoken on stages across the world, and her work has been featured in Forbes, The Sunday Times, Vogue, Allure, Nylon, and more. All right. So without further ado, let's welcome back on our special guest for the day, Erin Claire Jones. We are so happy to reconnect with you and to talk about your new book and catch up on all things motherhood and how we've grown and shifted since the last time we talked, which I think was in spring of 2021. So it's been a few years, but
Wow.
I know I had to look back because it's like time is not linear and everything is speeding up and everything is a vortex. So I had to look back and see the date, but we're
Wow.
really excited to reconnect with you. And I'm just curious to ask you, how are you doing today?
I am feeling good. As I was sharing with you, we have like a new air conditioner being put in. And so I've just been like shuffling between all the different rooms in my house for different calls. So, life is chaotic right now. So I would say I am doing well and things are chaotic. I have two kids and the book coming out and everything feels like full on in every possible way.
Yeah, I feel you. And it's exciting that you have a new family member and also now a new book, which kind of feels like its own little
Baby.
entity, right? Its own little being. I
I
definitely
know.
felt that way about our book. Like it's out in the world now and it's living its own life and meeting its own people. And there's nothing that we really
Totally.
need to do other than, you know, um, channel and write it that first time. But I'm curious how you're feeling. I know you said your new mom, a 6-month-old and then a 2.5-year-old?
Yeah.
Yeah, how is being a projector mom?
It's a lot. I think it's like it's amazing, it's like it is the best ever and it's just like a moment in my life where I feel stretched in every possible way. But I think having a second, I'm so much more aware that like it's all just for a moment.
Yeah.
And like it's this phase will pass, but it is interesting because I have a manifesting generator daughter, the oldest one, and she has 8 centers of 9 defined and she's a quadruple split
Wow.
definition. So she's kind of this
Wow.
like intense, fiery, just like leaves the room and like what just happened, and it's like it's such a beautiful energy to be around. And then my youngest, the 6-month-old, is a manifester.
Oh,
And she's like a little
wow.
splenic manifestor, yeah. And I feel the like, only because this is a human design podcast, like I definitely feel the like open sacral and in her and so much. Like I feel like we can like do everything together in a way that feels really cool. But yeah, my youngest is attached in a way that my oldest was not. Like I try to go,
Wow.
I'm going to the city to record podcasts. I live outside of New York City and like she will like protest. She's like, I will not drink a bottle. I will only do the boob. And so like I'm just, learning to navigate a new season. But it's great. It's amazing and it's exhausting, like so
Yeah.
exhausting. So I don't know. How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the same as far as what you just said. Like, it's exhausting and so intense, but also it's really great. But I don't have the perspective yet of having a second and knowing like it's a season, it's going to pass. I see it in little moments because she's 8 months. So I see like,
Yeah.
oh, I literally thought I was gonna die, but now I'm sleeping through the night a
Yeah.
little bit more, so I know like, okay, that ended and I didn't die, and it's
Yeah.
okay because as anybody, everyone listening that's a projector knows, rest is so important.
Yeah.
And it's impossible with a brand new baby. So we're having a projector party here for anyone listening that doesn't know Erin's design or
Yeah.
ours. But
Projectors over here.
yeah,
Yeah. Figuring it
it's
out.
figuring it
Yeah.
out. And I always am like, projectors weren't meant to have babies like historically, and even Ra gets into that, and it's a little harsh in Ra's kind of way that he talks, which I love. But yeah, it's figuring out how to be that guide while not trying to pretend that you're a generator or a man gen. And yeah, I can only imagine having a little mansion with 8 centers defined.
Wow.
I'm curious, were you looking up their charts before they were born to see like, okay, are they gonna seem like they're gonna be, or were you just fully surrendered like, fuck it, we'll see what happens?
No, no, no. I was definitely looking it up before, but like with my eldest, I went into labor at 41 and a half weeks. And so like she had been like looking like she'd be a manifester. And then had she been born 12 minutes earlier, she would have been. Which is just crazy. I
Wow,
know.
that's
It
nuts.
was so I was like, I think I probably looked when the contractions like started just to get a vibe. And then I was like, oh, she'll definitely be manifest. And then I looked it up. I was like, oh my God, how did that change? And
That's
then I mean, my
crazy.
labor was quick, but like as you guys know, these things can like last a long time or change very quickly. And then with my youngest, I was looking it up and it felt like manifester was the only option. Like it was
Yeah.
just for a long time. It was like so many manifestors. So I kind of knew that. But I think I wasn't sure yeah, so I was looking it up for sure, but I was also totally surprised.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Our best
Yeah.
friend had a baby in September, and yeah, it was like all
All the
manifestors.
answers.
Yeah, so she like knew. Whereas
Yeah.
for me, I had Isla in July, and it was like, I was 41 and a half weeks too when I had her. And it was, I think, like 2 days later, she would have been a man gen with 8 out of 9 centers defined and 3 emotional waves. And I was like, oh, fuck, I don't know if I can handle that because
I've got it. Yeah.
yeah, I am a G
Yeah.
center. Like nobody in my household has emotional wave in general. I know I
Yeah.
would have learned a lot, and
Yeah.
it would have been amazing. But yeah, so I was like, okay, it's time. We're getting her out.
We're going, it's time. Yeah, we can't delay this. Wait, what
Yes.
is the design what is her design?
She is a sacral generator, a 3-5.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
Fun.
she's such a little sacral. But it's
Yeah.
just crazy being a parent now. And the last time we spoke, obviously neither of us were parents yet. So, and we're all born in the same year, so it just feels like, okay, it's a whole new era through a human design lens, at least for me. So, thanks for
It is.
diving into some of the more real
Oh
aspects of.
my God, it's so easy to talk about. It's just like a crazy time. And I will say though that as hard as it is to find rest as a projector, I feel like becoming a mother has taught me more than ever how to honor my projector design. Like I feel like I just like have learned to be so much more efficient and like really like leverage the time that I have. And if I have like a moment to rest, even if it's for like 3 minutes, I will take it. And so I do feel like it's refined my projectorness in so many ways. And for that, I'm so grateful. And I also know that there will be days with more rest coming. I also both my
Mhm.
daughters, just because you guys will appreciate this, have defined egos. And so
So
I'm
does
just like,
mine.
"Oh
Yeah.
my
Same as
god,
Shayna.
what is with this time? All these, like, really willful, like, intensely,
Yeah.
heart-driven kiddos." It's amazing.
It is
Yeah.
amazing.
What do you notice with that in your day-to-day life?
Oh gosh. Well, I will say with my youngest, the 6-month-old who's a manifestor, it was so funny because she started rolling over at 2 months, and, like, we were trying to which is just a little bit it's pretty early,
Yeah.
and we were, like, trying to swaddle her as we had with our oldest, and she was just like, "Absolutely not," and she was, like, rolling over, and I was, like, calling the pediatrician, being like, "She's sleeping on her belly, like, is that okay? Because the internet says it's not," and she was like, "You can't stop her." I was like, "Why is she being such a manifester?" So, like, she just, like, was it was so clear that she was, like, craving freedom so early on, and she's just very willful, like, you can just feel, like, when she wants to do a thing, like, I can't really, like, do anything about it, like, I just kind of have
Yeah.
to, like, find a way to support her. I remember going in the first night, like, trying to flip her back over, like, over and over again, and it was just like, "No." And I think with my oldest, like, she's just like the queen negotiator. You know what I mean? We'll be like, "Okay, you can have 2 bites." She's like, "Agreed, 3." And we're like, "What? How?" That was, like, never an option. Like, it's just so she just knows what she wants. I don't know, I love it. I'm so inspired by it, and it's so not me.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much, and it
Yeah,
it feels good to be able to see it so, young and, like, unconditioned,
yeah,
right? Like, having that center undefined, and then you're getting to feel that defined center for them and feel how even though it feels different and it feels like, "Whoa, that is completely different than how I operate," it feels healthy
yeah,
and it feels really good to amplify that healthy center whereas most people, that you're around have some conditioning, or not self, and so I find that it feels really like I'm learning so much through feeling her definition in a way that I just haven't experienced before because I haven't been around that many kids. So I know human design is so powerful using it with children, and it's kind of like the goal is to help raise children that are themselves. But
yeah,
um, yeah, and you use this work a lot in business and helping colleagues and people like relationships.
yeah.
So just to kind of pivot a little bit, I'm curious um, why you kind of felt the most fascinated in that zone and what kind of inspired this new baby, your book.
Yeah, well, I think there are a lot of amazing human design books out there, yours being one of them. There are so many like great resources into human design. And I felt like something that would be useful in addition is a resource that really focused on how this system could be practically applied to every part of our lives, in terms of relationships and parenting and career. Because so many people I meet like really love human design, but they actually don't care about learning the system. They're just like, tell me what I need to do to like live my best life. Like, what do I need from that? And so, like, the book is very much oriented towards that. It's not about teaching people human design, it's about how to actually use the system to experience measurable and significant change in your life. And I think the most fun part about it was, the book is so full of stories. Like, as you guys have experienced, like, we've sat with so many people over the many years. And I feel like it's such a privilege to hear how human design is transforming their life, but it feels like it's an experience just for us. And so it felt really exciting to kind of elevate those stories and really give people examples of what it looks like to actually live your design and to actually honor it in these places. So that was just like a really fun part for me. So even though like I wrote the book, it did actually feel like such a collective experience because it feels like there are so many voices in there that are not mine, that I think will hopefully be a source of inspiration for others of what it can look like to actually use this information.
Yes, I mean, you're such an amazing writer. You have such a beautiful voice when you are writing. I loved that. And also, I loved the stories, that you have celebrity stories in there, and then you have some client interactions and their stories. And I do feel like it is so helpful because human design is an experiment that's meant to be lived, So hearing the lived experience, I feel like is just so helpful. It personifies the energetics in a way that like some human design jargon might feel inaccessible, or maybe even you've been hearing this human design jargon for years, but it's so like the way that you click it into gear for people, I feel like it really lands through the stories. So I love that. I think it's going to be really helpful for people. I'm excited to hear how people receive it. But I'd love to ask you, what was the process, like the entry point into writing this book? And was it something that was you knew you were going to do for a long time, or did it come in really quickly? How did you do it while also parenting and in the whole journey? Like, I just love to hear a bit about the origin story and the creation process.
Of course. I think that it's a fun story because it's very projector-y. I think that I had known for a long time that I would write a book, but I think I also didn't know what book that was or when the time was right. And there was one agent, and I talked to a number of publishers and agents over the years, kind of as they reached out and just having conversations. And then there's one agent who's like really persistent. And I was like, fine, let me like talk. And then my husband and I were like, now is the time. Like, I should just do it. And we talked to her, and she was amazing. She saw the vision so clearly. And I think what was so funny is that I'd always planned on like pitching this agent that like my husband and a lot of friends worked with. which is very anti-projectory, but I was like, this agent's epic, you know? But then this woman was like, saw me so clearly and saw the book so clearly that I was like, why would I like try to go convince someone else I'm great when she already sees it? And so I went with her and she was amazing. And we went out, we worked on the proposal for 8 months. I mean, it's quite a process. While I don't remember how old, I must have had like an 8-month-old, my oldest then. And it was so funny because when we went out to all the publishers, there was one publisher, one imprint at HarperCollins that had reached out 5 months prior. And she was like, "You're amazing. I think you should write a book." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is so funny. Like, I'm writing a proposal." So I met with all these publishers. They were amazing. We had 8 offers, and like the one that just made the most sense was the one that had reached out 5 months prior. So like it was also somebody else who had been like, "You should do this," before she even knew. And so like without even trying, the agent and the publisher, like it was all through an invitation. And it's just so funny how like I should know this. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
teach this and yet it's still so hard for me to trust it. And so, like, to have those moments of being like, "Oh, but of course, this is exactly how it manifested." So it took, you know, it was 8 months of writing, and then we sold it in December, and then I wrote it in January, started in January, and it was crazy, you know, and it was really timed with my 2nd baby. I turned in the book 2 weeks before she was born.
Wow. Oh
I
my
know.
goodness. I love that story. And it's so, I really resonate that you're teaching these strategies and these concepts, but in your own life, when you get to sort of like bigger and bigger level decisions, I feel like, you come back to the same lessons on a higher octave with more at stake or with more, just more
Totally.
impact in the decision that you're doing or with more eyes on you, maybe in the public eye. And it's like you really have to test yourself. Am I going to navigate this with authenticity? And then when you do, it just feels like everything aligns as it's meant to be. And you're like, wow, the life happens for me. This happened for me. And it's really beautiful. You can feel that energy when you created something like this. And just in the way that you wrote it, everything, you can feel that recognition flow, that aligned frequency and authentic patterning
Mm.
in it.
Thanks for saying that. I mean, I think it's also, I don't know what your guys' experience was. I know you wrote your book a while ago, but like it's also so hard when it's such a, like, deep system. I mean, there were, like, 150 pages that I just didn't even include, and, like, I
Yes.
wrote so many chapters that, like, were just cut out, and I was, like, in tears over it, but I was
Yeah.
also had to, like, come to terms with the fact that I was, like, as important as I think this piece is, like, a lot of these people are gonna be new to human design, and, like, they don't need to know all these things to start, so it is kind of heartbreaking when you know the depth of the system that you can't include it all. At least, like, I wanted to, like, go so deep into each part that I did include, like, how did you guys navigate that in your journey? Because it's really heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's so many hundreds of pages that we wrote that
Got
just,
cut.
and it did feel a little bit like, playing the old paradigm structure book publishing kind of game of, you know, I don't know. I almost feel like Sex in the City vibes of like, this is how things are done. And, you know, I don't know. My gate 43 is not connected to 23, as you can see in my chart. So for me, I just felt like I was in this other world, the publishing world of like publishing books, and they have all these rules and marketing people and hiring people to do jobs that like we didn't really need.
Yeah,
And so I felt like it was a little bit of like oh, okay, I'm stepping into this structure and my book is having to kind of fit within those confines. So I have to kind of remove some things that don't make sense to them, but really do make sense to me or to the system, or maybe felt like I was doing a disservice by not being able to include that.
yeah,
So we kind of just settled on like, okay, we're gonna have many things that we create and put out
yeah,
there. Maybe this is just the first of many things that we do. And so let's just we kind of had that tension of like, no, we are keeping this, but we'll give up this, or
yeah,
we'll shift this around, or we'll re-edit and weave this in a subtle way here. So it was definitely a an art form, like
yeah,
working and balancing with like, I want to say like the muggle world, where you're trying to communicate, but they don't really know the system as
yeah,
deeply as we do. And like even our publisher, I feel like she really saw us. She reached out to us, like similar story, and absolutely love her, but like it still has that bit of a um tension between like the rules and the, whatever with publishing that we found really interesting. So maybe in the future we'll self-publish. I don't know. Or she's been asking us to write a second book for a while and we've just been kind of like, we'll see. We're going to just use our authority and see when it comes in. But yeah, it definitely has that play in the game kind of vibe. But I didn't feel heartbroken, but maybe that's because I'm not an emotional projector and
Yeah. I was also pregnant.
oh yeah, yeah, you
Deeply
were
pregnant. Yeah.
literally deeply pregnant.
Deeply pregnant.
I'm curious what your guys' relationship to is like to the book now. Now that the book's been out in the world for a few years, like how do you guys feel about it? I'm like just so in the like before times that I'm like,
Yeah.
what is it like? Like, what is your
Yeah.
experience now?
I think it's been really, really sweet
Yeah.
because, first of all, both of us are 2 4s, and our 4 line just loves like getting into people's hearts and living rooms and connected. And so, like, we see pictures of people with their book, like on their vacation with them, or
Oh,
in their living room with their kids, or they found it in their community library. And our book is translated into a few different languages. So they're like in France, in this little provincial town, they go to their library and they find our book. And it just feels
wow.
so cozy and sweet to know that our frequency is getting to be in these like intimate spaces with people. I think that's been the biggest thing for me. And it's cool because, we as projectors, we're always trying to figure out how we can work less and have a greater impact. And the book, in a surprising way, has been that for me. It's like we did it once and it gets to echo out and move through the world and impact people. Maybe someone gets it and then they give it away after they've read it. Like it gets to continue on and echo on without us needing to show up and be there. And so that has been sort of a surprising, beautiful, sweet little energy for me. What do you think, Shayna?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think that it feels so, yeah, sweet is the perfect word. Like it just feels like easy and it's out there living its own life. And then we're not focused on it anymore because we're creating other things
Yeah.
and busy, right? Creating babies. But getting that little, message or somebody booking with us and then in the beginning of the conversation they're like, "I actually found you because I came across your book." And it's just that
Wow.
reminder of, wow, our book's out there doing its own little thing and it feels really good and aligned and yeah, but it's now like, we're authors? Somebody asked me that the other day. They're like, "Do you love writing?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then I was like, "Oh, I literally wrote a book." Like, I guess, yes. But it's yeah, it's really cool. So I'm excited to see how you feel about your book once it's out and living
Yeah.
its life, spreading its wings.
Yeah, I am too. I'm excited to be on the
Yeah.
other side.
So I know, I mean, obviously, everybody listening to our podcast is obsessed with human design and they are human design nerds. So I thought that it would be fun to just kind of talk about random human design things from our perspectives as human design guides and projectors in this human design world. It's interesting that to me, it's interesting that, the system was channeled by a manifester and then for years and years it was taught and kind of worked on and built up by generators and mangens and then more recently it's been a lot of projectors guiding it and tweaking it and using it in different ways. But I'm curious, this is a random question, but what is your partner's design and do you sleep alone? Some of the more like super
Oh
traditional
my god, this
human
is so hilarious.
design.
I, like, did not see that question coming.
I know,
I
I told you it was gonna be random, and
that
they
felt like a
kind of
bit of a
all
non
are.
sequitur in the best way. I was like, "Yes, okay," and then I was like, "Wait, what?" No, I love that question. Also, what I love in my family now is I'm married to a generator, and I have a manifesting generator and manifestor daughter, so I have 4 types represented, which I didn't even
So
clock
cool.
until, like, recently where my husband was like, "You know, we have 4 types." I'm like, "Oh my god, like, where is our reflector child?" Um, my husband's a generator. He's a 1-3 generator, like the most capable, resourceful person I know. Like most of his gates around his sacral are activated. And it was actually so fun in the book writing the chapter on generators and relationships because I was like, it was honestly such a lesson for me of like, oh my God, these are all the ways that I can better support him. um, and there are many. We do sleep alone. Well, actually, sorry, we have our own bedrooms. We've always had our own bedrooms, like from when we lived in an apartment in Brooklyn to when we bought a house in the Hudson Valley. I'm actually in his bedroom right now with all the air conditioning. Um, I think that like we love sleeping in the same room and we love having our default be our own space. And as much as human design introduced that idea to me, he had dreamt of this possibility since he was like 5 years old. Isn't
Whoa.
that crazy? So people assume that it was like
Wow.
me being like, "Human design," and like, yes and no. I
Mhm.
think for him, like, he always saw the value of having your own space and being really autonomous and, like, decorating a whole your room in a way that, like, feels like you, and, like, we're different people. So, we've loved it. It is funny having kids because, like, our daughter, our eldest, is very much like Dada's room and Mama's room, and, like, she's gonna go to, like, friend's house and be like, "I'm sorry, where's the other room?" So, like, it's like we've totally normalized it in a way that's gonna be very confusing for her. Um, but we love it. I'll also say it's been really supportive in having young kids because, like, I'm, like, back and forth with my 6-month-old. We've, like, potty trained my toddler, so he's back and forth with her. She's often sleeping with him these days. So it's just, like, it is having this, I think, has allowed us to just, like, navigate sleep. But I don't know, I love having our own rooms so much. But I will say looking for homes, it was so hard to find rooms that were equal in size and were close to each other. There's always like one master room, and like I really hope that like it's normalized that like there can be multiple masters. Um, and that just felt like often they were like on different floors. It was harder to find. What about you guys?
Yeah. That's amazing. I hope that that happens, like, that homes are starting to be built with more
I
double
mean, it's kind of a
masters.
ridiculous ask, but I just feel like it'd be cool.
No, I love
It'd be
that.
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah, I actually don't sleep alone. I sleep with my partner, but I think about this a lot. Just like the suggestion, and I definitely always tell people that experiment with it, and I experiment with it, and then when I'm sick or when he's gone or like things like that,
Yeah.
experimenting with sleeping alone is really interesting. Anytime I'm not feeling well, I'll definitely sleep alone and just let my energy recalibrate. But yeah, my inner authority, it just makes me so happy to sleep next to my husband. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
what I really want to do and what feels really right. But I do definitely think about like, what would it be like to experiment with it for a longer amount of time and just see what changes and what shifts. But I just haven't
Totally.
felt called to do that yet. And if we had a house that had two master bedrooms with like
Right.
amazing beds, I would definitely be into that more, but just physically, I'm not quite set up for that yet. And then
Yeah.
Shane is the same. Yeah, they sleep together too. But I mean, we always like to ask people like, how hard do you go on this experiment, and what's that been like for you? But it's insane to hear that your husband has dreamt that of his whole life and just felt
Yeah.
it's almost like
Isn't
wow,
that
something
crazy?
divine, cosmic,
Totally.
uniting was there. You being someone that just is that human
Totally.
design guide being like, "Yes, this can work for us."
But one sweet thing is, like, in our apartment when we were in Brooklyn, like, I we had different sized beds. I think maybe, like, I had a queen and he had a full, and, like, so we, like, often would sleep in mine when we slept together because it was bigger, and when we moved into this home, we actually got identical beds. We got identical mattresses. We, like, had identical bedding for a while, so there was, like we were like, "Each bed has to be equally appealing," you know what I mean? Which was cute, and now he's, like,
One can't
totally
be better.
totally. So, like and I really feel that. So that was, like, a sweet moment of, like, how can we make them, that one's not better than the other because, like and I will just say, like, it's just very sweet to choose it. I think that's what I
Mm,
love is, like, having the default be alone and then be like, "God, I really wanna sleep with you tonight," And, like, it just
mm.
brings us so much joy, and, like, there was a
Mhm.
night where he slept in my bed this week, and, like, for some reason, both of the girls, like, slept until 7:30, which is, like, unheard of, and we were just, like, in pure luxury. We're, like, sleeping in the same bed, everyone's asleep, like, it was just, like, such a moment, but I don't know, I think it makes me appreciate it so much when we do sleep in the same room.
Yeah, honestly, I'm inspired by your situation. I think that that's my next goal because having your own space, I have been feeling lately like I just miss, when I had my own apartment and it was just completely decorated how I liked it and it just felt so good. Not to say that my home isn't decorated 100% by me because it is, but just having my own room feels like that would be something it just sounds so fun, and
Really
it feels like
fun.
it's on my path. So thank you for sharing that. I definitely feel inspired. But yeah, I'm always telling people like use your authority. Like what does your authority
Totally.
tell you? And
Yeah.
isn't that the best thing about this system? It's like I'm not telling you
I never have to tell
anything.
anyone what to do ever again. Thank goodness,
You just
because
Totally.
can share how you can find your truth with your
And also,
authority.
like, if a thing's working for them, it's working for them. You know, it's like,
yeah.
if that's working for you, great, do it. I'll never tell you
Mhm.
not
Right.
to do it, but it is fun to experiment. And I will say, like, I have 7 defined centers, you know, so I also wonder, well, I guess, yeah, I was just wondering, like, if I had, I don't know. I don't know if that impacts it either. Who knows?
Well, I mean,
I would kind of think
I
of the
feel
other way.
like
I think if I had a lot of openness, it might even feel more important, but who knows?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think maybe it depends on the centers that you have open, but I mean,
Right.
having that really undefined sacral and that undefined ego, yeah, you have a lot of definition for a projector. It's like Dana. Um,
Mhm.
and I have none.
Mm.
I'm like,
2 centers only.
I'm feeling it all.
I was gonna ask you about that, Erin. Like, what is your experience being a energy projector, and what is your experience having so much definition in your chart? And I mean, I'm curious to just ask you about how that's been in your own life.
Yeah, it's so funny because, like, I obviously don't know anything but that, you
Yeah,
know, but I will say that it's made me, and actually you're not dissimilar here, you've got a super activated root, like,
yeah.
I think it has made me very prone to overdoing just because
Mhm.
there is a lot of capacity. I remember my first business partner, my first human design teacher, he was a manifesting generator, and he was like, "You're the only projector who's, like, kept up with me because like, you've got so much
Mhm.
definition." I was like, "I don't know if that's a compliment. I think that I'm probably going too hard at 25."
Yeah.
But I will say that yeah, I think that, like, I just have to be so extra careful of
Mhm.
taking rest and space because I do with that defined route, like, I have a lot of stamina. Like,
Mhm.
I was like an endurance runner for, like, a lot of my life, you know? So it is
Mhm.
so funny. So it is just like I think it just for me is a real reminder of, like, of really taking space. I would also say another big lesson for you, I'm curious how this is manifested for you, is that I do feel deeply sensitive to others
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
all the ways, but I don't feel like I have a challenge in knowing what's theirs and what's mine. Like, the
Yeah.
boundaries are clear. I think that's part of what
Yeah.
definition has allowed me, where I'm like, I can see the things you're feeling, but I'm also not mistaking it as my own, whereas I feel like
Mhm.
often with a lot of openness, it can feel a little bit more confusing at first as, like, what's mine and what's theirs. So I
Mhm.
do feel like those boundaries have always been very clear for me.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so fascinating. I mean, I do have someone directly to compare it with Shayna and us being
Yeah,
business partners and her being so open and as a projector, I really get to see our differences in that. And in some ways, we're so similar, us both being 2-4 projectors. And then in some ways, we're so opposite and so polarized. And that's one of the ways, like me having so much definition as a projector and her having so little definition. When we go to, like, we've done lectures before at festivals where there's tons of people and tons of energy and lots of like all the things, and I can really stay pretty grounded in that
yeah,
environment. Obviously, I get overwhelmed too, and I'm really so sensitive to people's energy as well, but I felt like I could more just sort of like stay in my own lane, whereas Shayna was like, "I'm a butterfly caught in a breeze, like, I gotta
yeah,
go away right now." And I was like, "Oh, shit." So that was one of, a big moment where I was like, "Oh, really seeing on a deeper level." But also with being an energy projector, I definitely can overdo it, and I definitely get FOMO. Like, I think that Shayna lives in a place of JOMO, joy of missing out,
mhm,
mostly, and I
mhm,
get FOMO. Like, I wanna
mhm.
go on the snowboarding trip. I wanna go,
I wanna go
like,
on a story trip too. Like,
yeah, I
yes.
want to, and sometimes I can't. Sometimes I
Yeah,
can't. I have to rest, I have to take a break, I have to whatever. Sometimes I do, and I think that that is an interplay, like an inner battle sometimes. Like, I
yeah,
really do get FOMO and I have to cool it. And for Shayna, it's like, I don't even think that's even an option
Yeah.
because there's just no living possible way,
Mm-mm.
but I don't wanna speak for you, Shayna. What do you think?
yeah. So
Yeah,
interesting.
no, 100%. I mean, I'm all for I'm like, "Go, please. Everyone, please
You
go
go,
on the
please.
snowboarding trip. I will be at the lodge or in a hot tub or in bed." This, of course, speaking from not having children, because all of those things are a little bit harder to do now. But yeah, I definitely feel that the openness, I love it because I really feel like I can just feel people so deeply and hold space for them and really see what they're needing in certain times, or even with the things that we're writing, like I can tap in and channel like, okay, from this place, from this thing that I'm feeling or sensing with this group that we're helping or on this retreat or in this meditation or
Yeah.
whatever. I feel like I can really drop it in a way that I've fallen in love with. But there are definitely a lot of times where I know immediately, like I'm a butterfly caught in a breeze. That's the perfect way to put it. And I just know, okay, I need to retreat. I need to be in my own energy for a bit and clear out and just come back to myself versus feeling so swept up in everyone else. And it's, it does take more intention to know, okay, this is you and not me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't need to voice that because I've definitely noticed for anyone with definition, if I say what I feel they're feeling and they're not wanting that, waiting for the invitation, it's so repelling, right? So having to just notice it and I shift what I need for my own well being without saying I'm
Yeah.
shifting or, you know, pointing it out or bringing attention to it in any way, is definitely the daily balance beam that I'm on as a projector waiting for the invitation and also not needing an invitation. Like I don't feel like I need to tell someone, "Oh, hey, I'm feeling swept up in your energy."
Totally. Yeah.
Um, I just know that I need to come back to my own home base. And so that's just a practice of my design. But yeah, I feel like I feel really grateful knowing human design. Like without this system, I was just so exhausted and burnt out, but also like really trying so hard to not be.
Yeah.
And now as a mom, I think that it's such a fascinating thing that I'm observing is that balance of like, I'm not able to remove myself from my daughter's aura yet because she's, 8 months old, so even if I had my own room, she'd definitely be sleeping in it with me still. So it is this chapter of my life that I'm really observing, okay, let me feel you and be comfortable being uncomfortable, like,
Yeah.
really embracing that and knowing that that's okay, and it's really shown me a lot of lessons within deeper layers of my chart and feeling some of the not self come up and observing it and then choosing to like, okay, release that bitterness or be okay being exhausted. Like there's just so many lessons that are coming up that nobody could tell me. I really
Yeah.
had to feel in my body and find a new sense of safety even when I'm in the breeze or, getting swept up in things. So
Totally.
yeah, it's really interesting.
I love that reflection. It's so cool that you guys have each other as examples because that does feel like those are such different experiences. And it's such a good reminder that type is the first piece and there's so much underneath it that
Yeah.
gives us so much more nuance into how things actually
Mhm.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, being this far into your human design experiment, what is something that you still maybe is still a challenge, or maybe it's just something in your design that you have to be aware of every single day? Like you're constantly being like, okay, remember this. What is that one thing for you in this era?
Mm, what a great question. I think that I will say like one of the most valuable things for me, and it's kind of, I don't know if it's so true in this era because rest is so rare, but like I feel like giving myself permission to be, like, super unproductive. Like, I do feel
Mhm.
like when I have a moment, I'm still like, "Okay, like, what can I clean? Like, what can I learn? What can I accomplish?" And, like, check off the list because there's so much right now, and I feel like I am really just remembering, like, there is such value in being unproductive. There is
Mhm.
such value, like, even today, I've had back-to-back stuff all day long, and, like, I had a moment where I was like, "Oh my god, I need to, like, do this thing," and then I was like, "No, I'm gonna, like, just go lay on the ground with my daughter on my chest and just sit," and I was like, "Oh, I feel so much better after," you know? So, like, I do feel like I'm, like, continually learning the lesson of, like, even if it's just 5 minutes, how can I give myself a little bit of space? And, like, it's such a like obvious thing now. It's like I know the more rested I am, the more effective I am, the more creative I am, the more efficient I am, all the things. But I feel like I still just am giving myself those moments, and it's hard in a busy season. It's hard when
Yeah.
there's more than I can accomplish right now. I know that I can't do it all. So it's just like continuing to give myself that permission. I'd also say
Yeah.
the proving piece, the undefined ego is like a perpetual
Mhm.
journey, you know, and like I don't feel like I'm proving myself in the way that I was probably trying to when I was younger, but it still shows up in lots of small insidious ways, you know, where it's like, oh, like why am I doing that? Like I'm trying to prove that like I'm a good friend here, or I'm smart here, or I'm this kind of mom or whatever it is. So like I think just staying really conscious of the moments where I'm choosing out of a need to be seen a certain way and appear a certain way over like a genuine desire or want to do a certain thing.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
And I reflect a lot recently. I've been reflecting a lot on just the concept of self awareness and how it transforms everything. And that's the whole purpose of human design. But I mean, there's subtle layers within it. Like you're aware that you need rest, but are you aware that you're judging your rest? Or
Yeah.
are you aware that you're rushing your rest? Like there's just these layers of awareness that goes deeper and deeper. And I always am really curious to see what that looks like for people to just become aware of new layers. Like even for me, like how many times have you gone on the cycle in different seasons of life or whatever about rest? You come back to it, you learn new
Totally.
lessons with it. You realize in this season it's going to look differently, or I didn't realize that in the last few months I've been applying this story or this frequency or this guilt to it. So
Mhm.
that's really interesting. And also I share the same emotional wave with you, 41 to 30. I wanted to ask you
Ugh.
how how do expectations, how is that whole journey for you? And is it easy for you to totally like release expectations, or do you still struggle with it? Because that's definitely something that I have to constantly be aware of and practicing. But I'm curious, has that been the same for you, or have you not felt that so much?
I think that it's so funny because like asking that now, like I'm curious what your guys' journey was pre-book, but like
Mm-hmm.
there's like so much anxiety. I have a lot of friends who
Yeah.
have books coming out like within a couple weeks of mine, and we're just kind of like behind the scenes being like, oh my God, like what's gonna happen? And like, what if this doesn't happen? What if this doesn't happen? And it feels like there are so many expectations. And it feels like there's so many expectations around the week of launch. And like
Mm-hmm.
it's just a crazy thing where I'm like, I feel like I've been so wrapped up in that. And then I just like step back and I just like, what am I doing? Like this is like I have no like you guys shared. It's like you're like putting a thing out into the world and you have no idea what's going to happen. You have no
Mm-hmm.
idea whose hands it's going to reach, like what kind of life it will have on its own. So I think it's been so hard for me with the book to let go of expectations, and it's also been so beneficial because I feel like I just like I get so, and especially as a sixth line, like I'm just getting like so like anchored into all these details that don't really matter and like losing the big picture. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think it's still really hard for me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and but then I think when I like take a moment to sit back and look at the expectations, I realize how ridiculous they are. So I feel like when I
Yeah.
have like a moment, it's like becomes very clear. But yeah, it's been hard. I think the book thing is probably like the biggest thing in history where I'm just like, that's been really hard. Like I think of like birth or things like that. I'm like, whatever happens, like I just have to like be available for it. But like this has felt particularly hard to let go of.
Yeah, that's so
Interesting.
fascinating.
Yeah,
I feel like there's definitely, in my experience, there's certain things that it's like I am easily have no expectations around. And then
totally.
I surprise myself. There's certain things I'm like, why did I have so many expectations? And sometimes when there's a lot of pressure on something or it's really big, I mean, that makes sense. It makes sense
Totally.
why that would be
Yeah.
there. But it's interesting.
It is, and I do think that, like, it's so I love that channel, I love that emotional wave because there is something really permission giving to just be like, as long as an experience feels right, then, like, it's I'm in the right place, and, like, it's gonna
Yeah.
manifest however it's meant to, and so, like, I do look back to all the moments of the book, and it's like everything happened in, like, the most perfect way, but
Yeah.
I think that there's a permanence to the book that feels unlike other things that I've done, where it's like you create a
Mhm.
thing and I can't, like, keep editing it or changing it, it's just, like, it's gone and it's out of my hands, um, but I do think, yeah, I love knowing that channel. I love knowing the emotional waves in general. Like I sat with somebody in session today who had two, the 59-6 and the 12-22, and she's like, "These are opposites." I'm like, "They are. You're like super moody and also like super stable." Like, and they come out and she's like, "I feel them both." Like I just feel like they really reveal so much about our emotional experience, and I think they help us navigate it so much more beautifully. So yeah, I've appreciated knowing that about myself.
Yeah, it's really interesting from my perspective because I really see the defined emotional beings in the world as like these emotional champions because lately, I don't know how long, but the transits have been creating this wave for the collective of this expectations. And so for anyone who doesn't have this wave in their chart, expectations and them falling through have been really destabilizing for a lot of people. And for me, it feels so turbulent. Like I feel
Wow.
like I crash so hard when an expectation falls through right now. And it's unfamiliar for me. Like it's new territory. Whereas for you both, it's like totally fine. Like you're
Yeah.
used to navigating this and taking it on and kind of like an athlete in this area because it's the little expectations like just now with this call I thought I had the internet fixed and then it wasn't and I literally in that 30 minutes that this got delayed, I wanted to like rage, like a disproportionate reaction to what happened. Like I wanted to just like break my laptop, scream, cry, like end it all. I was
Yeah.
so like such a big crash and I knew immediately like I am having a crash from an expectation and this is not mine. Like this is just me amplifying the energy from the transits or even amplifying both of your expectation waves. And so I just like knowing that is that awareness, like you were saying, Dana, is the key for me being able to let it go. But it's just so interesting because for you both, maybe you have an expectation that your child's going to go to sleep and then they didn't. And like, it's not gonna necessarily throw you into such a low because you're so
Yeah.
used to navigating this energy all the time, and that's kind of how I
Yeah.
see, like, these defined gifts, like, that you are a champion of this gift, whereas other people might experience it or amplify it when they're around you or the
Yeah.
transits are happening or whatever, but that's like a new little fun flavor if it is a fun experience, um, for them to navigate in that moment. But does that resonate feeling like it's a muscle that you're always just kind of working out and building up?
I mean, I would say the self-awareness piece, yes, 100%. And I think just having language around it helps me navigate it. Like, I feel like there are so many things in my design where, like, knowing that it exists in my design in some ways disempowers it in my life in the best possible way. Where it's like, I
Mhm.
have gate 32, the fear of failure. So it's like when the fear comes up, I'm like, huh, like I see you. I know you're
Yep.
here. I'm going to keep moving, Or it's like if
Mm.
there's a big crash and I'm like, God, I had such a fixed expectation there and I really didn't create space for things to evolve more organically in really surprising ways, and, like, that really didn't work out for me. So, like, how could I do better next time? And so, I do feel like it is a muscle, it's constant, and I feel like when I'm aware of it, I'm just, like, able to navigate it, just, like, move through it so much more quickly and so much more easily because I just see it for what it is, which is just, like, an energetic dynamic in my design and in my life, and when I'm aware of it, like, I feel like I can work with it and not against it. Dana, what are your feelings about
Mhm.
it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel like I've been reading a lot about dream interpretation recently. It's been one of my little side fascinations. And it was talking about when you're a kid and you have reoccurring nightmares, there's like a monster chasing you. In order to stop it, you need to like remember that you're dreaming and lucid dream and turn around and face the monster and say hi. And literally by
Totally.
doing that, you stop this cycle. And so it's like, it reminds me of certain things in my design. Like I didn't know what it was unconscious to me. And it was sort of like, I was running from it and it's like this monster chasing me. But once you understand that it's there, that it's not a monster, that it's an energy in your chart, you're able to name it, you're able to explain it, you're able to share it with other people. It's turning around and facing a part of you that you just like, there's no longer a fear there. Like that is literally how you transcend a fear or how you transcend something being a problem, I put in quotes,
Yeah,
into just being a dynamic that is there
yeah,
to pivot around or accept or all those things like that energy of turning some a fear or a self-judgment into acceptance and bravery and courage to be who you are, like it's just such a gift. And I wanted to ask you with your book coming out, I feel like there's a lot of new human design books coming out and I'm so grateful. I'm honestly so grateful from the bottom of my heart that the world is expanding, the consciousness is expanding. People are so open to human design because I just obviously all of us here really believe so deeply that this is something that's going to help the world so much. Like this conversation that we're having, these little moments where you can accept yourself and love yourself instead of judging yourself or, creating
Yeah.
disharmony in your life. Those little moments where you can be a better partner, a better parent, like those are revolutionary moments, even though they're small. And I'm just so grateful that we're in this time and that there's all of these amazing human design guides like yourself, writing books, sharing them with the world, and that the world is ready. So I wanted to ask you, Erin, what are you most excited for? I mean, we're getting so much closer to like the new paradigm energy and we're seeing so many big shifts. What are you most excited for with the future of human design? And what's kind of in your heart for the collective, moving forward and embracing human design?
Yeah. Well, I think 2 things come up. I mean, I think we sometimes, at least my view is sometimes distorted because the people that come to me are interested in human design, but, like, I kind of forget how nascent it is. Like, it has grown so much in our time, and, like, we are just scratching the surface. Like, I'm sure you guys noticed this as you wrote your book. It's just, like, so many people still have no idea what human design is. So I think what I'm excited about is, like, watching it kind of cross the chasm to, like, become part of the mainstream in a way that I think it really hasn't been before. Um, and I think that like, where I hope my book can play a role in it is like the book is kind of like meant to be a decision making real time guide where you're just like, I'm feeling stuck. What do I do? Oh my God, here I am. This is exactly what I'm meant to do. So like I think I also really hope that people that maybe haven't historically turned to mystical systems like these turn to them because they realize like this can be incredibly useful and this is helping me through a decision and therefore like I wanna hear what it has to say. So, I just think there's a way of communicating human design that can reach all those people.
Mhm.
And there are people like you doing it. And so like I guess I just hope that we keep moving towards that. That like it just
Mhm.
becomes more a part of our consciousness in a way that it allows us to better understand and support our partners and raise our kids and give them permission to be who they are and build teams that are like way more effective and collaborative because we're not expecting others to be like us. And I guess the last piece that I would share is like, and this came up so much for me in the book, is like human design is so much around self-understanding and self-awareness, but I think it is almost more powerful when it comes to relationships. To just like
Mm.
understand the people that we love and like know exactly what they need. And so I really hope that people like kind of look to their design and also like really take the time to understand the people close to them because it is just like the most next level thing to be like, oh, like they need questions this way, or like this is why this isn't working, or how can I support them here? And so I hope that we can like use it to understand our differences in a way that actually just brings us so much closer together.
Mm, beautiful. I'm really excited to see where it goes, and I couldn't have said that better myself. I feel the exact same way. I'm grateful that I've been able to use this system in my own life, but then getting to see it in like our clients' lives or, one on one with people, but also now with my children and
Yeah.
the deeper levels with my partner. And just there's so many, and it never ends. Like you said, we're just scratching the surface. And every day I'm like, oh my gosh, this new lens or new layer is really beautiful. Is there anything that you would share with someone that is feeling, I guess, unstable in this time of so much change? Maybe they'll be able to get support from your book, but is there anything that you would recommend or words that you want to share?
Well, to me, I think the magic of my design and our designs and human design is like it's not predictive. It's not going to tell you with certainty where you're going to go in the future, but it will tell you with certainty how to discover what feels right for you right now. And so, like, I feel like when there's so much turbulence and uncertainty in the world, like, there's something really powerful about anchoring into, like, but I know that I'm like living in the right place. I'm like with the right people. I'm making the decisions that feel right. And like, I can like make these decisions moment by moment and like trust that it's moving me in the right direction. And so, I guess I think our designs can be like incredible anchors in this time. And like, in ways that can be really surprising. Like, I don't know what your guys' plans are for the future. Like, I've been sharing human design for 10 years. It's been amazing. Like, I don't know where I'll be in 5 years. I don't know where I'll be in 6. I don't know where I'll be in 2. Like, it's just like, I don't know what's coming, but I feel like I have my design as this like toolkit where I'm like, but I just trust that I'll know when it's time to change and shift and like bring in something
Mhm.
new or start this. And so like, I don't know, I think it can just serve as like an incredible anchor. And I also think that
Beautiful.
it can like this is like a very polarized time. So I also think it
Mhm.
hopefully brings a little bit more empathy to how different people are, you know,
Yes.
in a way that I know that has been really helpful, like kind of navigating all that we've been through as a collective in the past 5 years, even. It's just helpful to kind of have a lot more
Yeah.
compassion towards people.
That's so beautiful. I love that concept of being anchored in your design,
Yeah,
and I think, that's empowerment, is being anchored in your inner navigation system, not trying to control the unknown. You're never gonna control the unknown. The best that you can do is be anchored in your ability to navigate the unknown in
yeah,
alignment. And also, I love what you said about, hoping that this can be something that helps us have more compassion, more understanding for one another. That is, I really believe, what is going to help us make the collective shifts that we're meant to make is having that connectivity, and our journey of really living as our true unique self brings us
yeah.
back home to our unity and our collective energy, and celebrating our diversity, celebrating all of the uniqueness we get to see and experience. So I love everything that you just shared. So as we're wrapping up here, I'd love for you to share with our audience where they can connect with you, what offerings
Mhm.
you have going on, and where they can purchase your book.
Yay. Okay, so we'll include the link. You can go to humandesignblueprint.com. The link for the book is slash pre-order dash book. Um, I sell guides. I think we still have the discount code DayLuna if you want to kind of guide all about you. And we have other offerings, but you guys have amazing human design offerings. So I think that like I don't need to go into all those things. I'm on Instagram at Erin Claire Jones and Human Design Blueprint. And I'm just so grateful that you guys had me back on. It was so nice to connect with you both.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on again. And I'm just so excited for everybody to get their hands on your book and to get to learn from you on this whole new baby that you've created. And yeah, so thank you for I want to say thank you for birthing that into the world, but yeah, that thank
I
you.
mean, birth both, it's like everything at once. But thank you're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to follow along and learn more about human design.